Welcome back to some of the best stories from r/TalesFromTechSupport. I hope you had a great day. Thanks for all the likes and comments on the last video. And now let's take a look at the first story. It's called It's Broke. I work in the IT department for a small manufacturing company. Yesterday, the maintenance person came to the IT office. Have you fixed the computer in X office yet? Sorry. Shop manager asked me to make sure you guys fixed the computer in X office. We were not aware there was an issue. Can you tell me more about it? No, sorry, that's all he said. He's gone for the day. Or I'd ask. Okay, well, I suppose I can talk to the people that work in X office. No, they work earlier, so their day ended half an hour ago. There's nobody in X office. Okay, I'll go take a look. But if there's nothing immediately apparent, it will have to wait until tomorrow. I go over to X office and notice their barcode scanner is not working at all. I replace it, open a few programs, restart the computer for good measure. Everything looks fine. This morning, our department got an email from the shop manager. He's mad that the computer isn't fixed. You said it's broken to someone who doesn't even work in IT and then left for the day. What did you expect us to do with that information? The next story is called Only Forward Looking. I work at a healthcare group as a TS manager. I get all the VIPs. I've been in the industry 20 years. And to this point I thought I'd heard it all. The one that was top of the list till today was the user who told me to call Google because the headset wasn't working on a meeting. Yes, call. But now there's a new champion that is eating my soul. We are a full M365 shop, all cloud. The user said, how can I rename my calendar backups so I can recover them later? I keep them in my folder and they are all named the same. Once I complete the backup, the saved calendar is supposed to be listed under my calendars in the left panel of Outlook. Calendar backups? Why are you backing up your calendar? Your calendar is backed up automatically, so I can find records of old meetings, etc. If you go backward on your calendar on Outlook, are your previous meetings not present? Correct. I erase as I go. So if I want to look up something from a month ago, I go to the saved copy. At this point, I was reaching for an adult beverage at 9 AM. I'm really confused about this whole thing. Why are you deleting old appointments? It's how I operate. I keep everything forward-looking only. I haven't responded. My head hurts and I'm judging my life choices that brought me here. The third story is called He Demands the Green Ticks. We had a ticket come in today from a user who said their OneDrive and SharePoint syncing wasn't working. We remoted on, and what the issue turned out to be was that the status of the files were mostly set to online only, with the cloud icon. The guy that sat next to me has green ticks though. Why don't I have those? I tried to explain the reason and that it wasn't an issue at all, but he was having none of it. He wanted those green tickets on everything. So I right-clicked the SharePoint library of around 250 gigs and made it available on his device. After many hours of syncing, it was finally done, and he had his precious green ticks. He phoned back to complain that his device was running incredibly slowly. He had a 256GB drive, which was now completely full. The next story is called Worst Kind of Users. My employer had an old phone system. It was probably 2+ decades old. It didn't support new technology like caller ID. There weren't enough phones to go around. Incompatible phones couldn't even be found on eBay. So many users who needed a phone didn't have one. My colleague and I were tasked with replacing it. The new system is a partially custom-built system. We got the great idea, at least we thought it was, to make it work as much as possible, like a home phone system. We assumed that the simpler and easier it would be, the less training we would have to do. We looked up the features offered by the local phone company and made our system work just like that. The system is as simple as it gets. You pick up and you dial. The magic is all done by the PBX, which the users don't have to know exists. These phones didn't happen to have a voicemail button, so checking voicemail involved dialing *98, the same code as our local phone companies. No problem, we figured. People are used to doing that at home. They'll have no problem doing it here too. Just to be on the safe side, We made labels that said, to check voicemail, dial *98, and I fixed them to every phone. We installed the phones on Sunday morning when the building was closed, tested them, congratulated each other, and went out for drinks. Come Monday morning, 2 users immediately asked us how to check voicemail. We tell them to read the sticker on the front of the phone. The response? As I suppose we should have predicted, what sticker? I offer a hands-on tutorial. I tell them that to check voicemail, they dial what it says on the sticker. I even point directly at it, so that there in theory would be no confusion. User does nothing. See how it says *98? That's what you have to dial to check your voicemail. User dials 87. I barely managed to stop myself from involuntarily making a choking noise. Okay, you dialed 87, but that's not what it says on the sticker. In order for the phone to do what you want, you need to follow the directions. If the sticker says to dial *98, you have to dial *98. User dials #98. That was a star, right? Not quite. You need to dial exactly what's on the sticker here. Do those two look the same? No? Okay, try to find the key on the phone that looks like this star here. User successfully dialed *98. Great. Will there be anything else? I'm not sure I'll even remember that. You don't need to remember it. It's on a sticker on the front of the phone. We put it there because we knew you might forget. I'd better write it down. You certainly may, if you wish. But once again, it's on a sticker on the front of the phone. We won't take the stickers away. They'll always be there for you to refer to. The user instead writes on a piece of paper, star for voicemail. Okay, you almost got it. But dialing star by itself won't work. You have to dial all 3 digits. Silence. See how the sticker says *98? That's what you have to dial. Adds 98 to their node, sort of off to the side, and running into the rest of the node. I immediately go to my office and leave them a voicemail, thinking it would be good for them to practice. 4 hours later, the voicemail hasn't been retrieved. A third user asked me how to check voicemail. Hey, you know who you should ask? User 1 and user 2. I spent 20 minutes with them this morning on it. I did ask them. User 1 says they forget, and user 2 says they weren't paying attention. I don't understand why it's this complicated. The last story is called Bad Floppy Disk. This happened a very long time ago, back when floppy disks were still floppy. My father, henceforth IT dad, was working as a student employee at the computer center at his college. One of the services that the computer center provided to the campus departments was PC support. One day, an administrative assistant, henceforth admin, from the history department called with a complaint about her computer. My computer always loses my files. Okay, can you give me any details as to what you are doing and what the computer is doing? Well, every evening I save my files to a floppy disk, and then when I come in the next morning, the computer can't find my files. Have you tried a new floppy disk? Of course, every day this week I've used a new floppy disk. And you are sure that you are saving them to the floppy disk A, right? Yes, after I save the files, I always use the directory A command to confirm the files are saved okay. But then the next morning, they aren't there. IT dad was thinking that maybe she just didn't realize where she was saving the file, but wanted to be thorough. Maybe there's something wrong with the disks. Can you bring in some of the floppy disks that you've used this week for us to look at? Sure, I'll bring one to you tomorrow. When she brings it by the next day, IT dad examines the floppy disk, and it looks in good physical shape. It's even in a dust sleeve, and it's a reputable brand. IT dad places the disk in a computer and tries to read the directory. The computer returns an error that the disk is unreadable. See, the computer lost all my files that I saved last night. It looks like the disk hasn't been formatted. Let me format it for you. Then you can try using it tomorrow and bring it back again if you still have problems. The next morning, the admin calls and says she saved her files the previous night using the disk that IT dad had given her, but her computer can't find them again. The same scene from the previous day repeats, including the disk unreadable error. Is this the exact same disk that we formatted for you yesterday? Yes, I'm sure it's the same disk. I have a special place where I keep my current disk so I don't lose it. I even checked last night to ensure the computer saved the files on it. I just don't understand why the computer keeps losing my files overnight. When you get ready to save your files tonight, give me a call and I'll come over and take a look at your computer. I'll bring one of my disks that I know works to test your computer too. That evening, the admin calls IT Dad and asks him to come over to the history department. He watches carefully as the admin saves her files to the floppy disk and uses the dir command to ensure the files are there. He double checks the directory, runs check disk and even reads the disk that he brought with him to ensure the drive is working correctly. Everything looks good. IT Dad was very puzzled. Well, everything seems to be working okay, but you say that this only happens in the morning and it's the same disk you used the previous evening? Yep, and I know because I keep it right here on the filing cabinet so I don't lose it. Oh yeah? Can you show me? IT Dad watches as the admin puts the floppy disk in a dust jacket sleeve, then pulls a magnet off the side of the filing cabinet and uses it to stick the disk to the side of the filing cabinet. This way I make sure that I don't ever lose my current disk. Thanks for watching the video to the end. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. And if you have time, watch another one of my videos. Also, if you want to support me further, check out the channel membership or Patreon. And now I hope you have a great day. See you soon. Bye bye.